Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching episode 8 of The Last of Us, and yep, it's another great, awesome episode. This is of course the story arc where we come across David and that whole community, and I love that the show gave us a complete other aspect that was just not in the games, but I feel like it definitely added a lot more to this whole creepiness that goes on with David and what's going on there. Basically, in the games, you come across him and he seems real friendly at first, he might actually be a good person. Maybe Joel doesn't end up recovering from his injury or something, and this guy is going to be the new guy who helps you. And of course, we find out that he's horrible and really, really creepy. But they've added in a sort of religious element where he's actually, I guess you would call it a cult leader type thing, where he's being like a preacher and this is my flock and all these, all these sheep who are, I'm protecting them and I'm keeping them all alive. But of course, unknown to most of them, he's actually feeding them human meat, right? Because they're running low on meat, and so he's been feeding them people. And just, yeah, he's definitely controlling and manipulating this entire group, and it's real crazy. It's real crazy. So that whole religious aspect was not in the games at all, but I feel like it definitely added a lot to how someone like this is in charge of everything. It definitely added a lot more of the whole, I don't know if you want to call it brainwashing, but definitely a manipulation factor as to why everyone's going to listen to this clearly creepy, crazy guy. But anyways, basically, Joel's still hurt. Ellie runs into David and what's the other guy's name? Is it Frank? I don't know. No, not Frank. I forget the other guy's name. His minion sidekick that's with him the entire time. He's got a lot of followers, but this guy was with him, and apparently he was actually played by, this was Nolan North. I didn't realize that when I was watching it. I didn't know that till later. But yeah, this was the guy who does the voice of Joel in the video game. He's actually playing the part of this sidekick guy. I don't remember his name. Anyways, yeah, runs into those two, and he's being all friendly at first, and of course Ellie's, she's being smart, right? She has the gun pointed out at them, telling no, I need medicine, and then I'm gonna go back, and everything plays out kind of the way it does in the game, where she gets the medicine and she tries to heal Joel, but then the people are coming the next day to come after her, so she's got to go on the run and try to escape them, and hopefully they don't find Joel. But she gets captured, and then Joel manages to wake up, and we see great Joel scenes this episode. Joel's been absent for a little while. I think maybe only one episode, but it definitely feels like Joel was not the focus at all for a while. So we get some really great moments with him here, where he is just taking people out, and he does that infamous moment with the map, and oh, your other guy better. You better show me the exact same spot on the map, otherwise I'll know you're lying. And then when he kills that other guy, he's like, no, why'd you do that? He was gonna tell you the truth. It's oh yeah, I believed him. And then he kills the other guy, and ooh, man, it was real dark. It's obviously these are bad people, so you're cheering for Joel in this moment, but you're Joel's Joel's real dark. He's definitely a take no prisoners kind of guy. You're all gonna die. And then of course Ellie, she got amazing moments in this, not just in the way of oh, she's talking tough like she always does, but she's actually being resourceful and smart. You can tell she's learned a lot from Joel, and just everything she does is amazing in this episode. But of course we got David, who reveals his true colors, and at first he's first is oh, I'll protect you, I'll take you in our community and all this and that, and then it gets weirder and creepier, and then he touches Ellie's hand, and it's oh god, no. And then Ellie sees an ear on the floor, and then of course they're kind of spelling out what you could kind of guess already of oh yeah, they're definitely eating people. At the beginning of the episode, there's this moment where this daughter had just lost her father, and it was one of the people Joel had killed at some point. And they're all oh, we're gonna bury him later. We can't have a funeral right now. The ground is too cold, right? And at first I was wait, is that true? Is that is that like a thing? Like, I guess if the ground is too rough to dig through, I guess it makes sense. And then they like brought out the food and everyone starts eating, and I'm like, oh my god, they are eating her father. And of course the little girl takes a bite of the food. I'm like, oh god. So, you know, right away you could already like guess what was happening, and they just go ahead and spell it out for you of like, oh yeah, they're eating the people. I think Joel even comes across a couple of bodies in a warehouse, and they're all just hanging there behind a couple of boats or something, but a couple of canoes. So, oh man. Anyways, which, you know, on one hand, it's like, if they really are starving and it's all snowy and it's like maybe they don't have any choice and they got to survive, it's like, people, it's like one of those questions that you ask people as some kind of like really messed up test. You know, it's like, okay, you're starving, there's no food, you have to survive, are you gonna do it? You know, it's like one of those things, right? But still, it's like, it's crazy. The level of manipulation and the whole religious factor of it makes it crazier, I guess. You know, the fact that you're keeping it a secret, and it's like, oh god, you know, it's like it would kind of be better at that point if you just were straight up with people and be like, oh, hey, look, we're gonna die if we don't do this, you know, like, ugh. Anyways, so yeah, David gets increasingly creepy, and Ellie rejects him, and then they are about to cut her up, right? You know, make her into the next meal, I guess. When she manages to escape, and she's gotten pretty good at killing. She, you know, a lot of deaths in this episode, a lot of stabbings and choppings in this episode is what I mean. Yeah, she managed to chop Nolan North in the neck, and so he's dying. And then we have the awesome scene, which was a great boss fight in the game, right? Not boss fight, more of a boss level, I guess. You know, you're kind of just like hiding between the booths of this restaurant, and we get a little bit of that, where David's like looking for you while he's holding the machete, and of course, you know, he tries to do stuff, and then she manages to get the it wasn't a machete, it was a chef's knife. What would you call that thing? A butcher's knife, yeah. Anyways, so Ellie goes to town with the butcher's knife, and so he's dead, and the place is burning down. And then, you know, Joel gets there just in time to, you know, like, hey, it's me, it's, you know, I got here maybe a couple minutes too late, but I think that's the way it happens in the game. And yeah, so they're back together. Joel is alive, he managed to kill a couple people, and Ellie managed to escape, and, you know, they got to get the hell out of there before the rest of the town figures out what's going on, right? But yeah, this was a crazy, really intense episode, and, you know, the fact that I haven't played it in so long, the game, it definitely was like, I kind of forgot exactly what David's deal was. Like, I was like, I know there's like a big turn and he's a bad guy, but I was like, is it just that he's a cannibal, or was it something worse? And then like it happens in the show, I'm like, oh, that's right, yeah, that's right. It was something, it was a lot, oof. And yeah, I guess my only other thing is it's kind of what happened last week, where like there's a section in here where it was supposed to be Ellie and David fighting off a bunch of infected, and that's in the game, that's kind of how they get you to trust him more, right? And they don't have that in this episode. So, you know, again, I don't know if it's necessarily a budgetary thing, because they obviously have the money, like they're building the sets and they have the locations, and they, you know, I can't imagine that it's a money thing why they don't have a lot of these infected moments. But, you know, just again, for the second time, it's like last episode it was supposed to be a whole horde of infected, but it was just one guy. And then this episode there was supposed to be that moment where they fight off another horde, and then that just doesn't happen. So I don't know, it's fine, I guess. I mean, I suppose you could say they're doing it that way. When the infected do show up, it doesn't, you know, they feel like more of a threat. It's not like a thing that you take out every day. It's something that, like, it's actually kind of rare to come across, and you're supposed to be scared when it happens, maybe. But yeah, it is something that I can't help but notice, you know. Having said that, though, I didn't really mind it. You know, David on his own is creepy, and these people are, you know, the religious thing definitely makes it even creepier, you know, than just normal, like, than just normal thugs that they would come across. You know, the whole cannibalism religious thing is even like, oh, they're like thugs plus creepy factor, you know. So I don't know, it worked for me. But yeah, this episode was real intense, but this was like, if nothing else, this was a demonstration on like, you know, Ellie she's a killer now, you know what I mean? Like she's capable of fully taking care of herself, you know, maybe not fully, but you know what I mean? Like she gets in a sticky situation like this and she can handle it, you know, like she knows how to do stuff. She's definitely like real traumatized now, like at this point, right? Like this is probably you know, this is probably the most horrible thing that's happened to her so far, which, you know, I guess that's like a lot of horrible things have happened to all these people so far, but yeah. And Joel's back, by the way, you know, like that's good. I'm glad we don't have like another episode where Joel's still sick and we gotta wrap that up. That's wrapped up. It happened. And if I remember correctly, I believe the next episode or the next like chapter of the story was the sewers. I want to say they go to the sewers next, but I can't be sure. And again, I haven't played the game in like 2 or 3 years at this point, so I can't entirely remember exactly the sequence of events. But yeah, they did a really good job with this. They made me, you know, they made me forget exactly what it was. I mean, I didn't trust David at all, but I forgot exactly why. You know, I was like, okay, he seems like a nice guy so far, but what's the turn? When's the twist happening? Because something's about to go down with this guy. And yeah, it's real disturbing. But yeah, they did a really good job of making this group really feel like a threat in this world, you know, like and I feel like this was a better done version of the that other group, the one that ran them off the road. I forget their names. They were just the people, right? The resistance or whatever, who had taken over their QZ. Like, it feels like they were trying to kind of do a similar thing with that group, and this was definitely just a better version of that, you know. So I know that was a, you know, TV created, you know, with the leader and the brother, and they're hunting down Sam and all that. So I feel like or Henry and Sam, yeah. So I feel like that was a weaker version of what they did here. So I'm glad that we got this. Definitely like, okay, yeah, so human beings, just people, can definitely be just as scary and creepy as an infected monster can be. So maybe that's why they feel like they didn't need both. I don't know. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know how well they did, and if you can remember what is the next thing they do in the game. I can't remember. I know I keep on saying I need to play the game, and I just haven't done it yet. But eventually I will. Maybe, hopefully before the show ends, I will start playing the game again. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.